Experience here. And today I'm here with Hope Kim, and we're going to talk to you about how to read a preliminary title report. There's a lot of
Woo!
out there, but most of them are boring, and we're going to make it exciting for you. And
Well,
so,
we'll
without further
certainly
ado,
give it a shot.
let's get started. How to
All
read a
right.
prelim.
All right. The most important thing, I guess, I always ask, whether it's real estate agents or the general public, what is title insurance, right? I guess that's always a good starting point. Well, there's two types of insurance. You have your life insurance, your automobile insurance, and then you have something like title insurance. So, what happens with your life insurance or auto insurance? Well, it covers things that have happened, that may happen in the future. Well, title insurance is something that covers something that's taken place in the past. So if the seller leaves and the new buyer comes in and something shows up against the previous owner, that's what you're getting coverage for. So with that kind of basic knowledge of what title insurance is, let's move on. Hey, fun fact. Is title insurance required by law? No. There's nothing in our statutes that says you need title insurance. So honestly, you can buy a home without title insurance. But is it safe to do so? Because what does title insurance cover? The basic main thing is liens, encumbrances, and fraud. So you want to make sure, don't you think it's important who's selling you a $2 million home is actually the owner of the property that's selling it to you? So even though you may not need it by law, by practice, you'll see that title insurance is required. The other thing is, if it's an all cash transaction, yeah, you may be able to close without title insurance. But if you have a loan, guess what? The lender is not going to insure that property unless they know their position is secured. And that's why title insurance may not be required by law, but by practice. Okay, so with that, let's see what a title insurance looks like, what you need to see. Um, I am going to share my screen. Okay, Microsoft format. All right, here we go. So the nice thing is we do have a booklet here at California Best Title. And if you ever need a copy, please ask Alan and he'll be more than happy to deliver it to you. So with that being said, no matter which company you go, and there's 100 title companies here in California, but whenever you receive a prelim from any of the companies, it will be in this same format. So the first page that you see will just be basic information letting you know, hey, this is who the escrow company is. This is who the title company is. And the most important date is the effective date. That tells you when this was produced. And I will cover why that date is very important later on as I cover this preliminary title report. The other thing that you'll see in 7 is what kind of title insurance is being issued. So in this case, it's going to be a refinance, and the amount is for $530,000. If you were buying a property, if it was a resale, it would tell you that it's the owner's policy and the amount that you're purchasing the property for. The nice thing is you have these little tabs to kind of tell you what each of these things are. Now, there's two things. There's Section A and Section B. Schedule A and Schedule B. Schedule A is important in the fact that it tells you, one, what kind of interest is being sold. That's number 8. Now, there's 3 possibilities. Fee, you're buying both the land and the property. Leasehold, you're just buying the property. And ground lease, you're just buying what the ground it sits on. Then number 9 will tell you who owns the property. The next thing that's really important when you read the prelim, Not so much these days. We have, the beauty of technology is the escrow officers or whoever prepares these documents don't have to type the legal description like they had to back in the days. So you saw a lot of mistakes being made, but now they're using copy or paste, or they just print an existing legal description and add it to all the documents. Why is this Exhibit A important? Well, they don't, when these documents get recorded down at the county, the said county, wherever the property is, they don't look at the property address. They don't even look at the APN number. The only thing that the recorder's office does is look at your Exhibit A, the legal description of the property. The legal description of the property will tell you exactly where this property is. And that's where they will record the documents against. Why? An APN number can change, and so can a property address. So that's why the legal description, Exhibit A, is a very important document. So after Schedule A, the next thing would be Schedule B. Schedule B then discusses all the liens and encumbrances on the property. Now, the very first one you'll see is property taxes. Property taxes is the first lien holder on any property. What does that mean, Mr. Kim? Well, thank you for asking. This is what it means. It means if they are the first ones to get paid during our market crash, these property taxes, because people weren't paying it, were constantly going up with penalties. Well, guess what? They're the first ones to get paid. So when you're looking at Schedule B, look at property taxes. In this case, if it says paid, it's a very good thing. Now, if it says delinquent, should you be concerned? Not overly, because the properties that's going into escrow, the sales price and equity has gone up so much, it'll be cleared through escrow before the file closes. And that's how you as a consumer are protected. This is what title is ensuring, that any encumbrances against the previous owner will be cleared and paid before title is issued to you as a new buyer. The other things that you will see that's very common are easements. Now, boys and girls, there used to be this thing called the home line, and you would actually have to pick up the phone and answer your phone calls, right? Well, so the way it would work is they would make these easements and they would say, hey, we need phone lines, we need water lines, we need sewer lines. A very good thing. We want to make sure the sewer gets through, right? So a lot of these companies would get an easement. What is an easement? It's allowing the person that's getting this easement to have access to those points. And that's why you cannot build on an easement. Why? Because they may need access to fix the sewer line, fix the phone line. Whatever the easement is, the important thing you need to take away is you can't build on top of an easement. Now, if you're an agent or a homeowner, home buyer, these are the things you need to be aware of regarding easements. If you're a developer, easements are going to be very important, don't you think? I can't build on top of that, but I want to maximize the land. If I'm a homeowner, if I'm just a regular buyer, then what do I want to do? Hey, I may want to build a pool, right? What's another thing that's very popular are ADUs, additional dwelling units, right? Well, if you're going to do any of those things, then you really want to know where these easements are. And there's a thing called plot the easements, PLOT. You want the easements plotted. What does that do? Well, it'll tell you exactly where those easements are in conjunction to your property boundaries. The good thing is most of the times when they do these subdivisions, that means cutting out these lots to smaller parcels, they put the easements along the outside boundary, not to be intrusive on that parcel. So if you're ever thinking about buying or developing or even adding a pool, you want those easements plotted. And here at California Best, we do an awesome job at plotting the easements. So those are what you need to be aware of regarding easements. So here you have the storm drain, the public utilities, very common things for easements. The next thing you need to be aware about when you look at your title report, your preliminary title report, is the deed of trust. Now, these days, you don't see you see one deed of trust and boom, it's done. But you will seldom come time to time see additional deed of trust. This when you for you as a buyer or buyer's agent, this is when you become a little bit more concerned, and this is your concern. Hey, here's 100,000 deed of trust, and this one doesn't even have a dollar amount. Well, let's say your properties, oh, neither of them have a dollar amount. Excuse me. So let's say you're buying this property for $1 million, but the first loan is 800, and you see a second loan for $250,000. What do you do? Well, if I sell this property, will these two loans be paid off? If they are going to be satisfied, then you're okay. But if there's not enough money to cover those two deed of trust, then you may have a short sale situation where there's no guarantee you can close on this property, and there's no guarantee that the second lien holder will take less than. A short sale is basically one of the lenders saying, we'll take less money and allow you to close. So you as a consumer, if you ever come across that situation, when you're reading the prelim, ask your agent, hey, are these loans going to be satisfied? Why is that important to you? Title company wants to make sure you get free and clear title. If you don't, if these can't be all paid off, then you're not getting free and clear title, right? So that's why for you as a consumer, it'll be very important. Now, as you move forward, if after this deed of trust, it can be satisfied, there's no other items, then you're home free. That means, hey, just make sure the loan gets approved, the loan gets funded, you close your escrow, and you move into your beautiful new home. However, there's something that we didn't reflect in this report that I think you should be aware of. If you start seeing anything after the deed of trust, for example, any liens, encumbrances, judgments will start showing up after these deed of trust. So if you ever come across that situation, you go, whoa, there's all these judgments and liens. What's going on? You should be aware of those things. And sometimes it may be much ado about nothing, and sometimes they may be critical issues. When is it much about nothing? Well, my name is Hope Kim. Thank God my parents didn't name me John Kim, because if they had named me John Kim, there's a lot of John Kims. If I see a judgment or lien showing after these deed of trust, then guess what? Most likely, if it says Hope Kim, it's my judgment, my lien. But let's say it said John Kim. Well, and I'm as a seller, my name's John Kim too. What the title company will do is they will put it up into the preliminary title report. They'll start listing all the judgments and liens after the deed of trust. Well, again, at this point, you don't need to be overly concerned, but cautious. Why do I say that? Well, when the title company does their search, they search all public records. When they search the public records and they see a judgment, a lien against a John Kim, they don't know whether it's this John Kim or that John Kim. So what they will do is they will put it up on the preliminary title report saying, hey, we noticed that this is something that has shown up. And so we're not sure if it's our client or not. So we're reflecting it on the preliminary title report. But folks, this is where the beauty of this whole process comes in. There's a thing called a statement of information. This is what it looks like, a statement of information. And what the seller does, or the owner of the property does, is they fill out the statement of information and they send it back to escrow. Escrow send it back to title, and we run what we call a general index. You'll hear this acronym being thrown around all the time, GI. No, it's not the GI Bill, it's general index. And what we do with the general index is we cross-reference. So based upon all the information that's written in the statement of information, they ask, where have you worked for the past 10 years? What's your address for the 10 years? What's your social security number? What's your driver's license number? What they're doing is they're cross-referencing. So here's a John Kim. Oh, but he's never lived in this address that this John Kim's lived. The telephone number is different. The birth dates are different. The license is different. The social security number is different. So the title company can feel comfortably remove that lien against that John Kim because it's not our client. So that's how we start eliminating things through the SI by running the general index. And so that's something that's very helpful. So for you as a seller, if your agent shows you this prelim and you see all these judgments against you and saying, hey, this is not mine, don't be alarmed. So you just need to fill out this statement of information, the SI, we run the general index, and we remove those items that doesn't belong to you. Now, when I started this, remember I told you this important date? August 23rd, 2021. This is the time that this report was run. And the reason why this date is important because unfortunately, the title company, well, fortunately, thank God, fortunately, we're going through hundreds of files on a daily basis. We can't check the general index on every single order that comes in to our title units. So what we do is a day prior to, or even sometimes a day of, we run the general index again. And what are we looking for? Hey, has anything come up since this date? Let's say this escrow was closing September 23rd. So on September 22nd, we run the general index. What the general index does is it checks all public records regarding, hey, are there any judgments? Are there any liens against this person? Because judgments and liens are what we call involuntary liens, and they are against the individual, not against the property. So some judgments may show up against the property, but as a whole, they tend to just go against the individual. Well, if this individual wants to sell this property, it's an asset. Guess what? It needs to be cleared before they sell. So all in all, we run the general index, and lo and behold, sometimes there's delays in closing escrow. And this may be one of those delays is they see, hey, guess what? Mr. John Kim has child support that he hasn't been paying, and it shows up. Well, guess what, folks? Until that gets cleared up, title will not insure a policy. It's not title being unreasonable, is to make sure we protect the buyer. What are we ensuring? That the home is free and clear from any liens and encumbrances. Guess what? That's a lien. But unfortunately, it showed up after this date, before we close escrow. So that will delay escrow. So, hey, without title insurance, who's going to take care of you, right? Well, we'll take care of you, and we look forward to doing business with you at California Best Title. And Alan, thank you so much for allowing me to give my little presentation
Oh
uh,
yeah,
the
absolutely.
preliminary
Hope
title
hope is great. And there's a tip I always have suggested to realtors. When you take a listing appointment, bring an SI with you when you sign the listing agreement, and you have them fill it out then, so that if you get any bad feelings in your about the people, we can run that SI, and we can find out if there's anything that needs to be taken care of, and that will give us plenty of time to deal with the matters at hand, because we don't want to wait till the last minute and have problems where we find there's a lawsuit, or there's child support liens that need to be paid that didn't show up on the prelim. So it's very important to run that SI before, in the very beginning, before we get to closing time. And any other questions you have, you can always reach me, Alan Polis Title Experience. And I have about 200 videos on title on my Facebook private group, and soon I'll be launching my YouTube channel as well. But any questions or any presentations you want done at your office, please reach out to Alan Polis Title Experience. Take care. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you.
And
Hope.
we love live performances. It's nice to have
Yeah, we
interaction with
do.
real people.